Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of A New Go of New Home Sales. I'm Anya Christianten.
And I'm John Lee.
And today we're going to be talking about MarTech lessons learned from other industries.
Yeah, this is exciting because, we spend so much of our time as builders looking at what the builder's doing down the street. And we're not really looking at other ideas and practices outside of our industry, particularly when you go online. I mean, that's where a lot of the shoppers are nowadays, and we need to look to where they're looking. All right, before we get into all the practices from other industries, let me tell you about the state of our websites nowadays. I mean, a lot of you may not realize that we're actually in version 2.0 of our web. And 1.0 was actually back in the Napster days, where remember those peer-to-peer networks, and there was no cloud, there was no APIs, pretty much standalone access to the websites. Well, with 2.0, you see a centralization and consolidation of a lot of the websites, and there start to become establishments of tech giants like Google and Meta, which obviously we all know is Facebook, and Amazon. All those tech giants in the marketing and sales and marketing space dominated certain functions. Like Google dominated the search area. Facebook and Meta now is dominating the social space, and Amazon obviously has conquered the e-commerce space. But what we're seeing with Web 2.0 is you're starting to see this great online sales and marketing convergence. It's something that's unique to online. It's not usually seen in the physical or the offline space. And you're starting to see, like with Google is moving toward becoming more social and having e-commerce capabilities. You see that with their Google Shopping. You can, you can buy airline tickets on using Google searches. You have YouTube, which brings a social element. You have Google Meets, which also allows some collaboration and socialization. You may not realize this, but with Amazon, even though it's known for its e-commerce, is actually like the third largest search engine. You're searching, for particular products and services. And they've enhanced that by voice search, like using Alexa. They've gotten a little bit more into the social aspect of it with their Prime Video offerings, and even ratings and reviews, which is a social collaboration of evaluation of products. And on the Facebook social side, they're moving to Facebook Shopping. It's really popular in Asia with social influencers, social shopping, social commerce. And what you're seeing is this convergence of these big tech titans. As much as they have so much power, they're going to be superpowers here. And if you look at that logo in the center where all these arrows come together, do you see what that logo usually represents, Anya?
The radiation.
Exactly. This is like a nuclear holocaust of superpowers coming together. When they are able to dominate all that power of all those three major marketing and sales functions, they're going to be very hard to compete against. But we need to learn from that. We need to be aware of that in our industry, because our products is more and more being marketed and sold online. And it's a very complex thing that involves search across thousands of builders, plans, communities, and options. There's a social collaborative aspect to the way we shop. And obviously, if you want to transact online, you need to have that e-commerce function. On the other side of it here, this is kind of a follow-up from our earlier episodes. Like I said, marketing and sales are converging online, and it's converging through this concept that we're talking about, MarTech, where technology, which has usually been separate from marketing, is actually now the glue that binds marketing and sales together online. In the physical world, marketing would use their advertising in newspapers and radio and other media to basically drive traffic to the store where the salesperson picked up those two disparate functions. But online, it's usually a convergence, like you see on Amazon, where the marketing starts and online and the sales is transacted in that same session. The sales and marketing cycle, as we explored earlier, is still the same. You still need to attract your audience. You need to engage your prospect. You need to generate that lead, and you need to convert that sale. On the marketing side, for our industry, we want the buyer to be able to find, design, and experience their new homes online. That find part is that attract audience aspect. The design experience really engages that prospect, which hopefully will lead to a generation of a lead where they register. And that's where the sales picks up. But the sales needs to pick this up online where the buyer's at to generate that lead, and then to ultimately convert that sale to a buy online experience. And at a very macro level, this convergence of all these tech giants and advertising and the way we need to do it for real estate is you're going to see the whole concept of personal searches with social shopping in an e-commerce experience. Yeah, so what we want to do here is not to be scared off because it is going to be a new online world. What we want to do is learn from it and be aware of it so that we can engineer disruption. But engineering that disruption takes great, pardon the pun, ingenuity. And that ingenuity is going to show itself across the facets of buying new homes online, which is to enable the buyer to find it, to design it, experience, and then buy those new homes online. Since we don't have a good leader or example in our industry to show that the secret recipe, we have to look to great examples in other industries of how to take the best from them and apply it to us.
All right, I want to revisit this like 2 years from now, and we should have somebody by then doing this, right? That we'll have a great example of.
If it's not a blueprint for us, it's a roadmap for others. I tell you, the pace of change, especially with technology, is happening faster and faster. So got to start moving. The first aspect of it is to find your new home online. And that's a lot harder than used homes. Used homes have a set address with a set house, and it's all together. We have find your house anywhere, anyhow, and thousands of pieces and parts. And that's just crazy to be able to do something like that. But we can do that with technology using AI. And this is the first ingenuity, the AI engine. What we really wanted to start to pursue is a match and notify approach, because manually it's impossible for the builder to help you with that level of detail, a sales agent, or even yourself. It's just too overwhelming of a process. I don't want to scare people off with AI, and this image here probably even like facilitates that further. But you look at the people that are using AI: Google, Pinterest, Eharmony, Netflix, Uber. You use this every day. And if they didn't have AI, you would be very frustrated and you would just abandon ship. So AI can be your friend if utilized correctly. So let's go through the main ways we search for things. Over 2/3 of the people use Google as their search engine. And it's been around since I used to work in Silicon Valley back in 2001. So it's been around a long time, but I think the tried and true is kind of truly tried. I think it's time to search for something better. And why is that? Well, Google has been a great search engine for like trivia or how to learn how to do something or general information. But when it comes to shopping in such a complex product and such a visual product like ours, text searches don't really do the job. I mean, you probably have a dozen descriptions of the house that you want. You're probably not going to put that all in your keywords. And if it only returns a website and text descriptions, it doesn't really resonate. So there are new technologies now beyond text, and we'll get into that in a second. The other part, as we talked about earlier, there's different levels of marketing. Presentation marketing is the most basic. That's what Google has adopted because it was the first transition from print media over to digital media. Google also is very limited to website and browser-based searches. It really doesn't search across apps. It doesn't search across native app devices. So it's a great way to find index subject matter. But one of the problems on top of using text searches is you have to search website by website, one at a time. The other part about Google too is you're paying a lot for that pay per click. You better have a lot of money to be able to show up in the top ranking. And most of the smaller builders are never going to compete against the big builders because the big builders can pay more for their name than they can. The other aspect about, say, a general Google search, they're using third-party data. Third-party data can tell you similar people that looked at CNN, that looked at your website, may also be interested because you looked on CNN. So it makes a lot of associations. They use predictive AI, which is great, but it's all anonymous. The other part that's going to even make it worse is it's going cookieless. So the way they used to see that you used to went to CNN and then you're the type of people that can look at this builder, well, you're going to lose that. So what was good, because of privacy concerns, legitimate privacy concerns are getting worse. And the other thing that is happening to Google, and they're seeing that, that's why they have to become more of an e-commerce and social platform, is there are a lot of browsers popping up, not just Safari and Firefox, like they've been there, and Edge. Now Microsoft is better than Internet Explorer. But there's new privacy-oriented browsers like DuckDuckGo and Brave, and even a new one by Salesforce called U.com, where unlike Google, you can control the content sources of what your results are coming from, where your results are coming from. Buyers want privacy, but they also want personalization.
With text searches, only if we could make a house in zeros and ones, and then Google would actually be able to translate that, right?
I'm going to show you that in a second. We're going to turn those zeros and ones into the right one for everyone. This is up your alley here, the next one here. This is one we can learn from on Pinterest. They don't have the eyeballs or the audience that obviously Google has, but is very practical. My wife uses a lot of time to get her recipes. And I know you're like the queen of Pinterest. You've given a lot of lessons on that. But the big difference between Pinterest and say a Google text search is that it provides image searches. As we know, a picture's with 1,000 words, and it's probably a lot better to look at than 1,000 words. And they utilize some technologies of what we call tagging. So platform that we're building, we're also using tagging so that we can tag farmhouse versus a colonial architectural style, or bricks versus stones, or single family versus a multi-family. There's so many things that we can tag those elements, but it visually appears, and the buyer doesn't need to understand the definition of those tags. They just touch what they like and they see more of it.
That's the beauty of Pinterest for sure, because if you go in and you just start tapping on stuff that, I mean, my whole feed is huskies. They're so cute. I can't resist not hitting the like button. And then, my entire feed is huskies. So, but how sweet is this for the buyer? Because again, the buyers always say, I'll know it when I see it. So this allows them to dream up that perfect, dream home from their vision board. And then the engine can actually find that right house, which is amazing.
Yes, and they can contribute to it as well. I mean, they can post things as well. So there's an element there of social shopping. One thing that Pinterest offers over, say, a traditional search engine is, there's emojis, there's comments. So you can find like-minded people that have similar tastes that can not only help you shop, but they can guide you along the way. It's very underutilized. And I think there's a lot of potential that we can take elements of that and apply it to a new home search engine. The other aspect of a Pinterest approach versus, say, general search is it uses first-party data. You're registered in there. It knows you. It knows how your tastes have changed. It knows what you've liked and don't like. And you volunteer that. So it's not a privacy issue, which allows us what we talked about in an earlier session, customization marketing. So Pinterest, in one sense, gives you some of that concierge service, in that as you interact with it more and you describe what you're looking for, it delivers better services and products to you.
Privacy is important so that I trust that they're using this to benefit me. And as long as that's the case, I'm fine with that.
Right. If it helps you, then it's value. That's why we look at some of these other things like Netflix and Uber and all that. You're giving a significant amount of data, but it's providing you a great service. And so a perfect example of the Z-Party data is Eharmony. Now, you and me are both married, but you can imagine how this is going if you're trying to find a date. Basically, to help Eharmony find the perfect match for you, because you don't want to go on a date with everyone. Your time is limited, and you want to get it right the first time to find Mr. Right. They're offering you a shopper's quiz, in a sense, a buyer's quiz. And this is something we can learn for the new home industry, because finding that perfect house is just as important. It's a huge investment, and you're gonna be living there a long time. So with the quiz, it may ask you, what you're looking for, when you're looking for it, what are your must-haves, what are your wanna-haves, maybe even some of your demographic or psychographic information, like, I'm an outgoing person, or I have 3 kids, I have 2 huskies. Those kind of things that you normally wouldn't fill out in a little like registration card.
Mhm.
But we want to obviously assure them that we're using it for their good and it's going to be held in private security relevant to this purchase. And this offers that element of what we call customization marketing. The buyer can go and specify as much as they want in this quiz. They don't have to answer everything, but it helps the AI match and notify them of the perfect match when Mr. Right comes along. Now, the other industry example we can look to is Netflix. When people are searching for things, especially like a new home that's that complex, they don't purchase it on the first session. And especially a new home, it could be many, many months across many, many channels involving many, many people. Netflix has solved that by allowing you to view their content on any channel, whether it's your smartphone, your laptop, or in the hotel, or on your big screen at home. But the other beautiful thing is you don't start from scratch again. You start where you left off. I mean, who wants to go back to season 1, episode 1 every time?
Yeah, I think this is the biggest thing right now that home building industry is struggling with, especially with the increase of online sales counselor involvement. And since for a lot of home builders, it still is a new way of doing business. And if you don't have a great communication between online sales counselors and salespeople, then you can run into that trouble, right? When the prospect comes in for their appointment and they have to tell their whole life story over again because there was no communication between online sales counselor and the salesperson, or the salesperson failed to look at notes in the CRM, which I've been guilty of many, many times. But this is one that I think going forward, we have to be really cognizant about.
Exactly. I mean, the customer experience really is expecting a seamless experience online. Not only do they want to start where they left off in whatever channel, they're expecting that whoever picks up that conversation with them, that they already know everything that they've been through and exactly what they want, like you said. And all this involves that zero-party data. There is that consent when you're working with Netflix and when you're watching Netflix, that you specify what types of movies you want and that you want recommendations and that you like things. And so the AI gets smarter and smarter and smarter. And that involves these higher levels of marketing, which is customization marketing, personalization marketing, and even predictive marketing. The AI starts to know you, and that makes just for a better experience as it gives you recommendations. And part of that is not just your initial quiz that you filled out at the beginning, but you're allowing them to track your user shopping experience, your history, and then your ratings and reviews. But it's all for your betterment. So what we all really want is that Uber experience. And Uber really is about matching the rider with the driver, with the vehicle, with the destination. I mean, that's the huge advantage over taxis. It's not that they have a nicer car, or heck, you're riding in somebody else's old car. It's not all shiny and well kept, but they're winning because of the customer experience. And what happens is the buyers, they can set their preferences on what type of Uber they want, when they want it, and where to pick them up. And that level of customization helps Uber find, the right match. And instead of like riding a taxi where you just have to go to the biggest boulevard there and hope that a taxi drives by, or that you look more attractive than the guy next to you over here, Uber will now bring the car and service to you, notify you when it's arrived. You didn't have to go walk out there, and it already has given you a price. So you're not, subject to all that risk. And it tells you even when you will probably arrive at your destination. So all those services there are things that we want to do as a builder in finding the right matches, but also to keep the buyer informed throughout the complex and lengthy shopping and construction journey.
What's interesting is that it's a two-way street, right? Because with the ratings and reviews, you're not just rating your Uber driver, but they can also give you a review. So you have to be on your best behavior. And I wonder what goes into that. Like, do they take how much you tip into consideration? Because I'm always like trying to figure out
exactly. They actually do. that's the unusual thing that we can talk about. We're going to talk about that in our next session. Stay tuned. Is where instead of the buyer shopping the builder will shop the buyer. That's probably the hidden secret about Uber. You think you're shopping the driver. No, the driver is shopping you. Do I really want to get into this car and drive that extra mile to pick up Anya? Well, wow, all the other Uber people say Anya tips like great. And she's she loves Uber, she's a frequent user, and all those things play to your favor. And as a builder, instead of trying to take whatever comes to us, why not go and get the ones we want and be willing to pay a little bit more for performance instead of just taking whatever Google gives you?
Yep. I just wonder how far that's going to extend into our lives as consumers, where are we going to have social reviews of us at some point? It sounds like a Black Mirror episode for sure.
But in the real world, this is where giving a good tip to a waitress pays dividends later on, right? It's just taking it to a digital platform. All right. So the next important thing about buying a new home, because new homes, unlike existing homes, have an element of design to it, is to enable design online. And for us, Anugo, we've solved that by creating a cloud rendering engine, which basically takes all those textual jargon, construction terms, real estate terms, basically the ABCs that nobody understands, and it throws us into our cloud rendering engine. And then the buyers, they interact with the way they understand what they want is visually. They don't know what it's called, but they know what they like when they see it. And it goes into this rendering engine at a very simplistic level, and it turns the ABCs into ones and zeros, digital, and then into a visual. And then as they interact with the visual elements, it turns it back to ones and zeros, and then back into the ABCs for them to build from. So what can we learn from other industries? Well, let's look at Facebook and Tesla. Now, Facebook, we all think about as a social media platform. But if you look at it from a technology standpoint, it's really personalization at a massive scale online. And when you're buying your own custom new home, it really is doing the same thing. It's trying to give you a personalized experience to thousands of people simultaneously across tens of thousands of plans and options and home sites. And the reason we built our platform using React.js, which was designed by Facebook's engineer, is because we have that same goal and requirement to make this successful. What else can we learn from Facebook? Well, like I said, buying a new home is not only a complex purchase, it's a collaborative purchase. I would never buy this on my own. Have to involve my family and probably even some experts in real estate. So what Facebook is able to do is they bring in social influencers, the element of social shopping and commerce, because by having others help you, you're less likely to make mistakes. I mean, it's already a risky purchase as it is. The last thing you want to do is to buy something that's going out of trend or is a bad investment.
Yeah, it allows you to really design your personalized home. And again, we know that personalizing someone's home is the number one reason why people want to buy new. And then you can share that design with all of your friends and get instant feedback and see what they think. And and again, for the builder, this is where customer service always has to be your number one priority. I mean, we live in age of reviews, instant reviews, online reviews, everything. So you have to be really, really careful how you're conducting business with customers, because again, this could be a really good thing or really bad thing.
Exactly. And that's why how we interact with the people that like us and follow us on Facebook is very important, because Facebook at its bare essence is an advertising platform. It's great for marketing, and there's great opportunities in viral marketing. So if you can get followers to your builder's Facebook group, and you can showcase great videos and insights and tips and tricks and all that about how to buy new and where to buy new, that is a great way to create a referral network, a loyal network of identified potential consumers. And the other thing about Facebook is it also gives the buyers control in that they can customize who they want to follow, who they like. And those interactions on that social media platform, which is what we want to do in our marketplace platform, allows us to better service them. So if they like things about green homes or smart homes, we will show them builders and plans and options that relate to those interested items or liked items.
A lot of videos that I see on even LinkedIn that builders share, I mean, I love watching videos of beautiful communities. So when I see like a beautiful community, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to tell me about the amenities. Like I saw the pool and everything, and I got so excited. And it was a video cutting to the project manager telling me about how many years he's been with the company and this.
Yes, and in their defense, they've been very limited to the basic levels of marketing, which is presentation marketing. Mm-hmm. If you cannot provide the buyers that personalization marketing, that experiential marketing, even that predictive marketing to help them find their homes, to kind of make the recommendations, you're there basically to present. I'm so great. We're so wonderful. Our homes are beautiful. So you're presenting, but you're not really engaging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So flip it upside down and do the opposite. It's all about the buyer. So.
And Facebook and social media platforms versus say a search engine, what they bring to the table is they bring in engagement. Mm-hmm. Search doesn't bring in engagement. Search does the first level of marketing, which is attracting the audience. Okay, I got all these people at my doorstep. What do we do with them? I don't know. Can you give them some flyers? They'll probably just take a flyer on that. They want to be engaged with the product. They came all that way. So
this is like the easy way is to engage them by allowing them to build the home, right? I mean,
exactly. This is where it comes back to that first slide where I said, if Google can marry Facebook and then close the deal with Amazon transactions, that is the perfect marketing and sales platform. And all three of them are trying to do it in their own way. Search, bring the audience here. Engagement, that's Facebook, and social plays a great part in that. I mean, they are liking it. They are following it. They want more of it. And then to allow them to design and experience their home is part of that. That's why Facebook owns Oculus, which is about virtual tours and augmented reality. They're going to become more immersed and engaged. And now they're adding a transaction element, which Amazon started with. What is a good example for us in our industry? Well, we look to our sister industry, which is automotive. They've always been a precursor of things. And, we see how Tesla has allowed buyers to design and price their cars online. And why do they have to do this? Is because the dealerships, using their legal powers, the monopolistic powers or whatever, block them out of having physical stores. Well, Tesla says, so what? Then, okay, well, then I'm just going to beat you up online, which is what they're doing. Builders need to learn from that and not just try to say, well, I'm going to force you to come into my sales center, my dealership, and that's the only way you're going to shop. You need to be almost like Amazon. You need to have a physical presence and a virtual presence. They need to be at the same par. You cannot just say, well, who cares about, we'll be subpar on the virtual side and just force everyone to meet us in person. Especially in this day and age with COVID and remote buying and cross-country moves, that just doesn't work. And Tesla's not going to make it easier because most people that buy a new home have probably first bought a new car.
Yeah. So I, in my household, we already have one Tesla, and of course the second one, maybe we'll see if I'm ever driving around again more than 2 hours a week, maybe. But I just checked recently, and it's 7 months right now. If you were to order a new Tesla, you have to wait 7 months for delivery. And so I think that's been a biggest excuse for why we can't do certain things online for new home sales, because it's like, oh, nobody's going to wait 7 months. But clearly that's not the case in other industries. People are willing to wait for that Tesla for 7 months. They're not going out and buying a different car just because it's available. They don't want a car, they want Tesla. So this is where you really have to provide the kind of experience to customer they want to wait 7 months for that new home, keep them excited, and they're not just going to go down the street, buy a used home just because it's available.
Yes, because the other aspect of buying online is you have immediate gratification. So instead of having to plan a trip to go to a car dealership and during office hours and having to deal with salespeople that are going to engage you on the lot just because you want to look at something, they can, in the comfort of their home, quickly look at things. And that customer experience alone may already pull demand from any other options that are cars that they may be potentially interested in because of the customer experience. And Tesla has really showcased the convergence of marketing and sales for a complex product. They're marketing that product. You can do 360 tours of it. You can change the colors. You can go inside. You can see videos of it. And you can also transact, and it gives you a delivery date. And with driverless cars, they maybe even drive it to you. So the next element that builders need to improve on is that customer experience. Not only are they buying a home, they're buying a lifestyle. They're buying a place to live. And there's some technologies out there from other industries that can help encourage that. And that's using a game engine. Now, instead of just normal virtual tours, kind of like a Matterport where which are just shots of the house and you can take a 360 virtual tour. That's very insightful. It's very informative. And that's what we use for unbuilt homes as well. We create virtual tours. But the next level is like Epic Games here. Epic Games is, very popular among the young people. This is where they play online with their own characters, but they have the freedom of navigation. They have the freedom of manipulation. So what we want to do is using a video game engine, and we're testing out Unreal 5, which is their newest game engine, to let buyers customize their homes and then tour their homes as opposed to just touring a generic model virtually. And they're even bringing in characters that they call metahumans that look ultra photoreal, but we're not just trying to put video game characters on there. Potentially those characters could narrate a guided tour uniquely to you, answer your questions, show you what you're looking for, and really provide that human touch in a virtual way that a lot of millennials can all relate to, especially the Gen Z now. And it becomes a collaborative experience. And it's a very experiential marketing. And what they can introduce are in-app purchases. So while you're there and you found this wonderful oven, why not go ahead and just purchase that while you're at it, and the furniture there and, services.
I love this idea because right now, some builders have already made their Matterport interactive, where you're walking through the house and you see something like maybe it's a windows, right? And you can click on it and it pops up information about the manufacturer, right? Whether it's video or text, which is great because it is engaging customer in that, telling them more about the house. But imagine if, you have somebody who looks maybe like the salesperson, or maybe they can make the tour guide look like you or whatever, I mean, I'm sure
you can relate to.
Whoever's going to appeal to you the most, and they're taking you through the house and telling you about the home instead of having to even click or press. And you can kind of skip whatever you don't want to hear and let them take you through the home. So this really combines the best of physical world, of having that experience with a knowledgeable salesperson who's going to walk you through the home and point out things that you may not know, yet you're still touring on your own. So,
and it's actually practical marketing for real estate agents or builders. Obviously, you can't jump into an unbuilt home, but using your avatar, you're going to say, are the character you want to assume, you can go and record a virtual tour unique to that buyer that you're trying to present to, and take them through that tour and use that as your own viral marketing campaign.
Yeah, I love that idea. And I can't wait till there's holograms inside, right?
Now you're going way out there.
You pull up to the actual model with self-tour and you go in, and instead of, hey, Alexa, tell me about the house, it's, hey, welcome. Let me tell you about the house.
It may be possible with augmented reality later, but that's a whole nother topic. While we're at it, IKEA is actually experimenting with augmented reality. It's virtually there. So basically, they have IKEA furniture that you can drop into your own living room and to see how it fits in terms of scale and from different directions and different color schemes. And you can still you can even transact on that. You can actually buy that chair if you want that. And for builders, that's an opportunity that they can use when augmented reality goes more mainstream. And we're waiting on, some hardware from Apple and Facebook and Microsoft to come out. But if that goes mainstream, then you can actually tour an existing unfurnished home, but then you can see what the appliances and the finishes that you want. And you can even take that to another level of gamification, which ties in some of that video game capability along with virtual and augmented reality, where maybe it's almost like Willy Wonka. Find the house with the red door. The first one that finds it gets $5,000 off of their closing costs. The beautiful thing is not just to give those promotions. The beautiful thing is that people are doing this and sharing it online, and it creates a free viral marketing campaign. It opens up a lot of promotional ideas that have never been on the table before.
Yeah, and it's the idea of having it drop your existing stuff into the space, like, right?
Exactly.
You're searching.
We're reducing risk and increasing engagement.
You're always more likely to buy when you actually can picture the space with your own stuff in it.
Yes, and actually you can even take a picture of your family with those things. So the last part that we want to do is, we want the shoppers that started online to stay online as much as possible, especially if they're ready to buy now. You shouldn't make them come in later. And so what that requires is an e-commerce engine. And in our industry, that's a lot more complex than buying a pair of shoes. We not only require the digital payment, whether it's a credit card deposit or clearinghouse transfer with your bank, but we also need a contractual terms digitally.
Well, you mean they can just click, I agree to terms and conditions?
I wish it was that easy.
I bet you that's coming.
I wish builders would just go off on that. But basically, even like mortgage applications could be done online in advance of the actual purchase offer. But where can we look for that? Obviously, it's Amazon. They've already pioneered, the whole concept going from brick and mortar to click to order, the convenience of it. That really led to that convergence of marketing and sales. Has introduced ratings and reviews, because if you don't have all the people around you, the salespeople, you need some other reference to assure you of the quality and durability of the product or whatever. So those ratings, reviews on there are helpful. What happens also is, Amazon actually doesn't produce anything, but what they do produce is great content. And what they're able to do is they were able to pull that content from their tens of thousands of vendors into their marketplace.
For builders, it's smart to not reinvent the wheel, but they can borrow that existing content that manufacturers do so well. They want to see you sell their products inside of that home. So you can always get that information from your manufacturer. I bet you they'll be happy to share it with you. And that's the kind of stuff that the buyers like to engage with. It's beyond the house, but it's what's in the house. And it's so many different parts.
Yes, exactly. Because new homes, you're buying thousands of pieces, together. So having all those different vendors and products in there is actually very valuable. And the other thing Amazon brings into their marketplace, in that one marketplace, you don't have to leave. You can get a lot of comparisons and recommendations based on your shopping behavior. It may be able to predict what other things you may need or would complement what you've purchased. And they have that shopping cart there. And if you didn't actually buy, it will remind you. So there's a lot of things that they bring to the picture besides just being able to have a catalog that you can buy from. There's a lot of services that help you in the shopping experience.
Yeah, and I love that predicting services too. When you do actually buy something, they tell you, hey, so it's people like you also purchase this along with it, which could be the curtains for the home.
Exactly.
The furniture.
Yes.
lawnmower,
Exactly.
whatever.
The home is just the home base. You
Mhm.
need to now complement that base with all the accessories. And I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon even wants to get into the home space. It's probably like the only industry it hasn't conquered. I mean, they
I
sell
think
everything.
it did, didn't it? Like,
They actually sell small, tiny homes. I think homes up to like $120,000. Maybe they're slowly getting to market, and they bought a modular home builder that is into that space. So they are testing the waters. Frankly, they're big enough right now that with their revenue, they can buy Lennar with just 2 weeks of their revenue, and then all of a sudden they would have I don't want to scare one, but basically a nationwide offering of new homes. And they don't even need to make the money off the new homes. They can sell the new homes at cost as like shelf space to sell everything to, through, and for the home on an ongoing basis. And just for the data of the home buyer alone and every product they bought would be huge in value.
it's good to be a billionaire.
Yeah. The other aspect I think we can borrow from other industries, especially in this COVID environment, is somebody like Zoom, where it allows online collaboration. Because like I said, buying a new home is a collaborative process, and it's not necessarily you're collaborating with a person sitting with you in the room. It could be somebody across the country, your real estate agent, or it could be a friend or whatever. And so with this online collaboration, which we would like to integrate, obviously it's multi-user, but they're scheduling capabilities, there's screen sharing, because sometimes you want to show that wonderful kitchen visually, and then be able to collaboratively design things together. So there's this experiential marketing aspect to it. It's not just that I have to tour this myself. It's like Fortnite on the video games. We can go on this journey together.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can record it and you can use that for marketing.
Yes, I love that idea. And so then you can almost involve, you can have like a party, right?
Yes, it's
get together,
a housewarming
party, designing your dream home.
Those are new ideas that I think it's open to great opportunities if you really think of marketing in both a virtual and physical world environment, as opposed to being separate.
The biggest thing that you as a builder can invest in would be that capability of designing homes online, because again, that is the content that, the houseborn, right? There's a term for it. Like, people love watching houses, people love looking at pretty homes. And so when you give them that option to spend time online in the comfort of their home, design it.
Yes.
Again, and on the flip side of that, it gives you unlimited marketing potential, because now you can retarget those people, not with just a random picture of whatever, but a home that they designed.
Yes, it's not just a new home, it's my new home.
Yes.
It's not just a community, it's my community. It's not just a lifestyle, it's my lifestyle. This is where we really need to turn seller-centric marketing into buyer-centric marketing. When you make it all about them and you fulfill their dreams and you match them with the home of their dreams, why wouldn't they want to shop with you? That's what the future builders really need to be. They need to be dream builders. Let me just end with this. As much as there's some great opportunities and everything, there's this caveat that it's going to be pervasive with online shopping and expectations. Shoppers, particularly online, want great experience, but they also want great relationships. What they don't want, and this is why I'm very worried about the way we're doing things, they don't want this on again, off again relationship. What started online should probably stay online. It's up to them if they want to take it offline. What they don't want is to go from one channel to another channel and start from season one again. They want to start where they left off. They want to continue their journey, not restart their journey. They want to continue the conversation, not restart the conversation. It's already a long and painful enough journey as it is, than to start all over and do it in a very manual way. We need to bring the product to them, let them be engaged, immersive with it, and let them drive themselves down their online sales funnel.
It's a wonder that we sell 13%.
But 2/3 of the people actually want to buy new. So 13% doesn't sound that great relative to 64 or 5% people that want to buy new.
I mean, yeah, when you look at the experience, it's
Yes.
not shocking to realize why this is happening. And I mean, it's only the few who are very dedicated to buying new are able to
Yes.
do that. And I think the biggest thing for us as an industry is obviously, yeah, we have that, we have to overcome that why new is better than used. But I think for most people, they do realize that new is typically going to be better than used, right?
Mhm.
Unless you have somebody who's like, oh, I need the charm of an old 100-year-old farmhouse, whatever, until they're repairing all the stuff in there. But it's the difficulty of transaction. It's difficulty of finding the home. It's difficulty of communicating to what you actually want, being able to visualize that, and just the difficulty of transaction itself. And so I think this is one place where if we can eliminate that pain point of a transaction difficulty, then my gosh, the scale is just going to tip.
Yeah, and right now, the economy is great, and I've been here through the Great Recession, and so I've seen when times are bad. But right now, the builders are probably saying, "Why do I need all this?" One is you may not be worrying about the sales, but may want to take market share, and by taking market share, what I mean by that is not just to get more sales from someone else, is really get the customers that are ideal for your product at the maximum price that you can get, so you can maximize your profit and minimize the cost to acquire them and to satisfy them, because they are your future referrals. So if you can give them a greater customer experience when the times are tough, you will have them in your back pocket. At the same time, with technology, the way it's moving, if you don't start now and you wait till the times get rough, it will be too late to get that antidote. Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of this session, and we really thank you for attending.
I think there's lots of lessons to learn from each of the industries. We talked about each example, and so my hope for you is that you take away at least something that you can currently implement in your own business and make that all about your customer. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. All right, bye guys.